My wife cheated on me with my CEO and his son, thinking I was too naive. But she didn't expect me to know everything. A Mason, 32, former senior IT consultant, lover of clean code and clean consciences. I thought I had the perfect wife, the perfect job, and the perfect path ahead. My wife, Molly, 30, schoolteacher, smart, elegant, and secretly a full-time snake in yoga pants. My boss, Brad Hunt, 45, CEO of the IT firm I busted my back for. He once told me I was the son he never had. Turns out, he meant that in the Greek tragedy kind of way. And then there's Matt, Brad's son, 20-something, works with the IT team. Looks like he stepped off a yacht full of steroids and bad decisions. Anyway, the story starts on a high. I just closed a huge service deal for our firm. A national rollout contract with a major client in California. I was feeling invincible. It meant growth, bonuses, and probably the green light for that family Molly and I had been dreaming about for years. I left her a voicemail from my hotel, giddy and hopeful. We did it, babe. I think it's time we start trying. She didn't call back. Not that day. Not the next. And my gut? It was already coiling like a python on espresso. Ever since that camping trip with Brad. The one where he sent me skiing while he stayed behind to nap. Molly had been acting weird, cold, edgy. She snapped over nothing and clung to her phone like it held the nuclear codes. Then one morning, after I got back, I was tossing laundry in the washer when I noticed her underwear. Not trying to be gross, but there was something off. The texture, the smell. I knew my wife and I knew what didn't belong. That was the gut punch. The one that makes your heart beat in your ears. So I did what any man standing at the edge of the abyss would do. I called a lawyer. Lydia Hammond. Divorce specialist. No nonsense, glasses on the nose. I will burn your ex to the ground with a smile kind of woman. Recommended by a buddy who'd survived a marital apocalypse of his own. Are you sure she's cheating? Lydia asked, raising one eyebrow like she already knew the answer. Not 100%. But I need to be. If she is, I want out. Infidelity cases need proof, she explained. Photos, videos, texts, not just vibes. She connected me with Rick Simmons, a private investigator straight out of a 1980s thriller. He handed me a package like he was dealing in black market spy tech. A GPS tracker, a recorder for our landline, and a tiny mic I could slip into her purse. I felt disgusting, like some paranoid creep. But betrayal changes your moral settings. I was flying out again for a 3-day trip to finalize the California contract. That gave Molly all the room in the world to mess up. Rick agreed to watch her closely. Then came the kicker. Molly mentioned she'd be working a party Brad was throwing. One of his usual catering staff had bailed, and he asked Molly to fill in. Offered her $150. Of course, he did. Just be careful, I said. Casual tone. Calm voice. Dying inside. You know I love you, right? She said before hanging up. I wanted to believe it. That night, Rick texted me. She's at Brad's. Still there. Not alone. I called. No answer. Landline? Voicemail. Next morning, new email from Rick. Photos. Molly at Brad's house. Not just with Brad. Matt was there. 2 other guys I recognized from Brad's IT team. Molly, my wife, the woman I was planning to start a family with. Laughing. Drinking, kissing Brad in one, on Matt's lap in another. My hands trembled. I dropped the phone, threw up in the hotel sink. The images weren't just cheating. They were humiliated in 4K. Just then, Rick sent another message. You need to see this video. Call me. Now. And that's when I knew. This wasn't just betrayal. The video nearly broke me. Rick texted again. Don't open it while driving. I wasn't. I was standing in the hotel bathroom, staring at my pale reflection, phone clutched so tight I thought it might crack. I tapped the link. It started innocently, Molly in Brad's backyard. Wine in hand, a fire pit glowing. Brad approached her with that smarmy, fake fatherly grin. Said something I couldn't hear. Then he kissed her. Not a peck. A full-on, public, lingering kiss. Cheered on by the others. Molly smiled. And then the screen panned as they walked inside. Arms still around each other. Cut to a dimly lit hallway. Bedroom door. Brad. Molly. And then Matt. The door closed. Rick added a timestamp. They were in there for almost 2 hours. You want me to keep digging? Rick asked in his message. I didn't reply. Not right away. Instead, I packed. Called my manager. Told him I had a family emergency. Booked the first flight home. On the plane, I couldn't think, couldn't eat, couldn't breathe. My mind just looped through every stupid, trusting moment I had shared with Molly. Every smile, every dinner, every whispered plan for kids and future homes and dreams. Lies. All of it. I landed. Didn't go home. I drove to Lydia's office. She looked at me for 2 seconds and said, "You saw the video." "Yeah. Do you want to make her regret it?" I blinked. I want her to hurt. But more than that, I want to make sure she doesn't take another cent from me. Good. Then we need a financial firewall. That's how Lydia explained it. Step 1 in the divorce war was to cut off the bleeding. We froze our joint accounts. Created a forensic paper trail of all major purchases in the last year. Found out Molly had a second credit card I didn't know about. Brad was paying for it. She was using it to buy lingerie, wine subscriptions, and get this, hotel room keys with his name on the receipts. "This is gold," Lydia muttered, flipping through the files. "Not only is she cheating, she's sloppy. We can bury her." But I didn't want to bury her yet. I wanted to see her fall. So I went home. Walked in like nothing was wrong. Molly was on the couch, scrolling Instagram, wrapped in a blanket like she had a hangover. "Hey babe," she said casually. "You're home early." I stared at her. "Yeah. Meetings got cancelled." She didn't even flinch. Just smiled like it was any normal Tuesday. Like she hadn't been passed around my boss's backyard like a party favor. I kissed her forehead. Went upstairs. Showered. And in that shower, I made a plan. If I was going to destroy her, I had to do it cleanly. No screaming. No slamming doors. I would play the role of the devoted husband until she handed me the rope to hang her with. And she would. Because snakes can't help but slither. That night, while she slept, I checked her phone. And what do I find in those messages? Was worse than the video. Her phone was a museum of betrayal. Messages. Photos. Videos. All there. "Brad, you wore the dress like a weapon last night." "Matt, round 2 this weekend?" "Dad's out of town." "Elaine, some coworker I'd never even heard of. Girl, you were wild. I can't believe you did both of them. At the same time. Face with tears of joy fire." I sat there in the dark, the blue glow of the screen lighting my face while she slept 4 feet away, drooling into my pillow. My hands shook. I wanted to scream. Throw her phone against the wall. Wake her up and shove the screen in her face. Demand answers. Screaming why until my throat cracked. But I didn't. Because I wasn't here for pain. I was here for destruction. So I took screenshots. All of them. Uploaded them to a secure drive. Created backups. Printed a few, just in case. Then I wiped her screen clean. Marked her unread messages unread. Plugged it back in and slid it back onto the nightstand. In the morning, I made her coffee. She kissed me on the cheek and told me I was the best husband in the world. I smiled. She was 3 feet from a landmine and she had no clue. Meanwhile, Lydia and I met again. She nearly dropped her pen when she saw the screenshots. She's screwing both Brad and his son? And some IT team guys. Maybe more. She blinked. Do they know about each other? Apparently not. Then we weaponize it. Lydia walked me through it like a war general. We'd hit them all at once. Serve divorce papers. Leak the affair to HR. Tip off Brad's board of directors. And if needed, file for intentional emotional harm. This isn't just a divorce, she said, tapping her notes. This is annihilation. But we had to time it perfectly. I had to keep playing the role. Keep smiling. Keep showing up to work and laughing at Brad's jokes. It was psychological warfare and I was in deep. Then came the unexpected twist. Rick called. "You might want to sit down," he said. "What now?" "Brad has another mistress." I froze. "Another?" "Yep. A massage therapist." "But that's not the kicker." "Then what is?" "She's pregnant." My jaw hit the floor. Brad, the man who risked everything for a fling with my wife, was knocking up someone else? "You still want to go forward with the board tip-off?" Rick asked. "Because this just became nuclear." "Yes," I said. Because now I had leverage. Brad wasn't just morally bankrupt. He was professionally reckless. And I wasn't going to just burn his world down. I was going to make sure the ashes never settled. That night, I kissed Molly before bed. She looked up at me and said, "You've been amazing lately. More attentive." "What changed?" "Just realized what matters," I said softly. And I meant it. But not the way she thought. Rick texted again. "Molly just scheduled an appointment. Clinic. STD panel." And just like that, everything changed. Rick's message hit me like a steel bat to the ribs. "Molly just scheduled an appointment. Clinic. STD panel." My first reaction wasn't anger. It was fear. Not for her. For me. Because when you find out your spouse has been a revolving door for half your office, suddenly your health gets really relevant. I called my doctor the next morning. Told them I needed a full panel. "Any specific exposure risk?" "Yeah," I said. "Betrayal." The nurse didn't even laugh. I walked out of that clinic numb. Just completely hollowed out. There was something uniquely humiliating about peeing in a cup and handing it to a woman in scrubs because your wife couldn't keep her legs closed. A week later, I got the results. Clean. No infections. No trace. But when Rick followed up on Molly's appointment, the news was worse. She wasn't clean. She tested positive. for something she couldn't explain. And suddenly her life started crumbling. Rick sent me the footage. Molly at the clinic. Pale. Panicked. Calling someone frantically in the parking lot. Crying. Punching the steering wheel. It was Brad she called first. Then Matt. Neither answered. She spiraled. I watched the unraveling like a detached spectator. At home, she was quieter. More withdrawn. She cried in the shower. She kept checking her phone. She didn't tell me. Not one word. But I knew. I knew everything. And that made me colder than I'd ever been. Lydia had everything ready. Divorce papers. Financial breakdown. Copies of all the evidence. HR complained against Brad. Legal contact to Brad's board. You want the green light? She asked. Yes. So we pulled the trigger. First wave, Molly got served at work. In front of her students. It was brutal. She left midday humiliated. Called me 5 times. Didn't answer. Second wave, HR received a full report on Brad's misconduct, including supporting evidence of workplace affairs, favoritism, and power imbalance. Third wave, Brad's board got an anonymous tip with names, dates, and screenshots. The dominoes fell fast. Molly came home that night looking like she'd aged a decade. Her hands were shaking. Mason, we need to talk. I sat down and crossed my arms. About what? She broke. Tears. Apologies. A whole Shakespearean monologue. I made mistakes. I was lost. I didn't think you loved me anymore. Brad said he could fix my career and Matt was just a mistake. I didn't know how to stop. I felt powerful. Important. But it wasn't real. None of it was real. You are. I want to fix this. I want to fix us. I said nothing. She reached for my hand. I didn't give it. I tested positive for something, she whispered, breaking eye contact. I know, I said. Her head snapped up. How? Because I had to get tested too, Molly. Because you broke every promise we ever made. Because while I was building a future for us, you were setting it on fire. She cried harder. I deserve this. All of it. And finally I said yes. You do. Just then my phone buzzed. New message. From an unknown number. You don't know the half of it. We need to talk. And it wasn't from Molly. It was from Brad's wife. The message from Brad's wife hit like a second detonation. You don't know the half of it. We need to talk. Her name was Victoria Hunt. I didn't know much about her, just a handful of photos on company sites and a memory of her from last year's corporate gala. She wore emerald green and smiled like a woman who'd mastered the art of pretending. I met her at a quiet brunch place 2 towns over. Neutral ground. She arrived in oversized sunglasses and the kind of poise that said she was holding a nuclear warhead behind her back. Thank you for coming, she said, sliding into the booth across from me. You said I don't know the half of it. So hit me. She set down a thick envelope. Photos. Printed texts. Flight itineraries. Brad's been cheating for years, she said. Molly isn't the first. Just the messiest. But this time he got sloppy. The massage therapist? She's not just pregnant. She's suing. I blinked. Suing? For what? Sexual misconduct. And guess who she copied on the legal thread? The board. I sat back, whistling. So he's officially radioactive. Victoria nodded. And I've had enough. I'm divorcing him. But I want to make sure he doesn't get out clean. I chuckled darkly. We're on the same team then. We spent the next hour comparing notes, trading dirt and laying down a synchronized strike. Brad was weeks away from closing a deal with an international firm. It would have netted him millions. Unless the deal fell through. Victoria still had power. She wasn't just a trophy wife, she was listed on several of the firm's assets. Silent partner. Until now. She offered to speak to the buyers. Quietly. Carefully. And if needed, loudly. By the end of the meeting, we were allies. On the drive back, my phone buzzed again. This time, it was Lydia. Molly's lawyer just reached out. They want to discuss terms. Tell them we're not discussing anything until I have the house. Everything else is negotiable. But that house? I built that. Copy that. Later that night, Molly cornered me in the kitchen. Why won't you talk to me? Why are you doing this like I'm some stranger? I turned slow and steady. Because you are a stranger, Molly. And this stranger tried to ruin my life. She sobbed. Again. Always with the waterworks now. I'm losing everything. My job. My name. I just wanted to feel loved again. I tilted my head. Then maybe don't sleep with your husband's boss and his son in the same month. That one shut her up. For once. The next day, the news broke. Headlines everywhere. CEO accused in multiple workplace misconduct allegations. Sources confirm internal review amid lawsuit and affair scandal. Brad vanished from the office. Rumor was he'd gone overseas. Victoria filed her divorce that same week. And I filed mine right after. 2 days later, Molly showed up at my apartment. In tears. With a suitcase. I have nowhere to go. Please, just for one night. And I had a decision to make. She stood there on my porch like some tragic movie character. Rain coming down just enough to make her mascara run. Clutching a suitcase. Her lips trembling. Like every bad decision she'd made had finally caught up to her all at once. I have nowhere to go, Molly whispered. Please. Just one night. I stared at her. And for a second I saw the woman I used to love. The woman I bought roses for on Tuesdays just because. The one who danced in the kitchen in mismatched socks. But that woman was gone. Torn apart. Replaced by a liar who lit a match to everything we built. I stepped outside and closed the door behind me. No. She flinched. Please, Mason. I've lost everything. Brad's fired. His son won't talk to me. Everyone at school knows. I'm a joke. And that's supposed to be my problem? You're the only one who still knows me. The only one who ever loved you. I finished for her. Yeah, I did. Until you decided a few office threesomes were more exciting. She broke. Tears. Sobs. The whole performance. I waited until she was done. There's a women's shelter 5 blocks down. They'll help you get on your feet. But not here. Not with me. She looked up hollow. You don't even care anymore. I cared so much it broke me, I said quietly. Now I care about healing. I turned. Walked back inside. Closed the door. And this time I locked it. That was the last time I saw her in person. The divorce was finalized a month later. Lydia got me everything I asked for. The house. The car. Even the dog Molly didn't want anymore. Molly moved in with her sister. Last I heard, she quit teaching. Couldn't handle the stares. Couldn't stomach the whispers. Brad? Still overseas. His board ousted him. His name was scrubbed from the company's website like it never existed. Victoria? She sent me a card on the day my divorce went through. Some things are worth surviving. Cheers to the freedom. I smiled. Framed it. 6 months passed. I poured myself into rebuilding. My health. My work. My self-worth. I started dating again. Slowly. Cautiously. But with clearer eyes and stronger boundaries. Then one night, I opened my inbox. A name I hadn't seen in months. Elaine. The same coworker who texted Molly about her little multi-man escapade. Hey Mason. Not sure if you want to know this, but Brad's son Matt, he's trying to spin the whole thing. Says you were abusive. That Molly ran from a toxic marriage. I stared at the message. And felt that old burn light up inside me. You want screenshots? She added. Because I have them. I responded. Yes. Send everything. It's time the truth went public. The last message from Elaine came with a subject line. He sent this to the whole office. Attached? A video. Matt. Talking. And every lie was on record. The video was worse than I expected. Matt stood in some break room or office, smug as ever, giving the kind of fake inspirational speech you'd expect from a guy who peak lifted at 22 and never emotionally matured past 16. Sometimes people get jealous when they see others happy, he said to a group of fresh hires who didn't sign up for the soapbox. Molly left a toxic marriage. Her ex-husband? Total control freak. Emotionally abusive. Gaslighting her constantly. The audacity. He kept going. Painting me as some angry, possessive lunatic who made Molly feel small. Like I drove her into Brad's arms. Like I somehow deserved to be humiliated. Elaine had filmed it secretly. Sent it all to me. Even added a sweet cherry on top caption. Told HR too. He's toast. I sent it straight to Lydia. We still have that NDA proposal they tried to sneak into the settlement, right? Yep, she replied. Why? Because he just violated it. Publicly. The fallout was swift. Matt was fired within days. The company put out a statement distancing themselves from the unauthorized and inappropriate conduct of a former employee. He tried to walk it back. Claimed it was taken out of context. Claimed Elaine doctored the footage. Didn't matter. By the end of the week, his LinkedIn was gone. His socials were locked. He disappeared like the coward he'd always been. And me? I didn't gloat. I didn't post a victory dance. I just kept living. Because revenge isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet. Peaceful. A morning coffee where you don't have to check your partner's phone. A laugh that doesn't come with a pit in your stomach. I bought a cabin upstate. Nothing flashy. Just mine. Surrounded by trees and silence and sanity. Sometimes I still get messages. People who heard about the story. Friends. Coworkers. Even strangers. I would have lost my mind. How did you stay so calm? You're a better man than I am. Maybe. But the truth is I broke. I shattered. I screamed into pillows and punched walls and cried so hard my throat bled. But I did it in private. Because that woman didn't deserve to see my pain. She only deserved to see the version of me that rose from it. The one she couldn't touch. And Brad? Matt? Molly? They'll never get near me again. Because I'm not the man they broke. I'm the man they forged. So I've got to ask you. What would you have done if your wife betrayed you with your boss and his son? Would you go scorched earth? Or walk away clean? Is silence more powerful than revenge, or is revenge sometimes the only real closure? Drop your thoughts below. And if you've ever turned pain into power, tell us how you did it. Your story might be the next one we tell. Hope you enjoyed this story as much as I do. Help this small channel grow by hitting that like button, subscribing, and sharing with your friends. Every bit of support means the world. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.